They said it was impossible. They said,
you can't put together the most elite team of comic book reviewers on the planet and do, a podcast or something like that?
Despite all that, today we can proudly announce, yeah, they were right. We couldn't do it. So instead, we brought you the most vile, ignorant, unprofessional group of comic book enthusiasts we could find. This is Panel to Panel, the Game Rage Magazine comic podcast.
Welcome back again. It's been a couple of hot minutes, but we're back. And today we're going to continue V For Vendetta with issue number 7.
E for excitement, that's me.
It's rated A for anarchy.
Imagine doing that in a Sesame Street segment. A is for anarchy.
Dude, that's what's going to be on our new show that's going to be coming out in 2025.
Man, I don't know if we're going to start a new podcast.
B is for butt plug.
But because I don't know how it's going to work, but I do want to do a podcast where we just talk about ideas, because I actually have an idea for a cartoon, but I can't animate, obviously, and I can't even draw for that matter.
Yeah.
But I at least want to attempt to do a comic strip, a 4-panel comic strip about something of a Ren and Stimpy archetype. But I'll talk about it later. Maybe we'll do a BFN episode.
We'll do BFN about that. Yeah. All right. So speaking of which, if you want to hear the BFN show that we're going to talk about that on, you can go to YouTube. And you can follow us on YouTube and like, comment, and subscribe at Game Rage Magazine. And you can hear all of our other podcasts there as well, because there's a shit ton of them. Also, if you want to follow us on social media, you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Game Rage Magazine, Twitter/X at Game Rage Mag. If you want to follow Adam, you can follow him at All Gas No Trash Official on Instagram, and go listen to All Gas No Trash, which is the official Game Rage music podcast, I guess, or whatever. Also, if you like the animes and you like the mangas, you should go listen to the Anime Syndicate podcast, which is the official home, the Game Rage home of anime and all things from the Japans, hosted by our good buddy Frank, who you can follow on Instagram at anime_syndicate_podcast.
Damn,
all right.
Already slipping.
Hey, you know what? It's first episode back in like a week, so we're
losing
6
your
days.
edge,
It's 6
man.
days. It's only been 6 days. It's fine. I'm good. All right, I'm good. All right. Let's fucking go. I probably should have had this pulled up. Wait. Well, I guess we'll just go here. So, V For Vendetta, number 7.
It is a comic book.
What did you? We're getting to the end. We're getting to the end of the series here, because there's only 3 more issues left.
Yep.
So, what do you think of it so far?
I think it's far better than the Wachowski siblings directed movie.
Oh yeah, it's much better.
There's so much, like, the Alan Moore does an excellent job, not just in V For Vendetta, just overall. He does an excellent job of doing meta commentary about the story itself through. There was the Black Sails in the Watchmen series, and then V For Vendetta. It's V making a song, an original song that he made for whatever just because he's a weird fucking dude. That talks about pretty much the entire plot, and I think that's really fucking dope. Making ambiguous characters of not really knowing whether they're good or bad. I mean, I still don't know whether V is a good or bad guy. I mean, all that is known is that this guy has a modus operandi about taking down the current English government or the UK government, and that's as much as we know. And we've gotten like exposition about his life in the past and everything, but I mean, the guy just has a knack for making really complicated characters, which is his impact on comic books and elevating comics to a just beyond fucking what we would stereotypically know about guys in tights and shit and cops and robbers and all that bullshit. This is like philosophical. It's social commentary. It's foretelling of things that have happened in I guess world events, I suppose. So I don't know, man. The guy is just a fucking genius, dude. So I say V for Vendetta is one of the best comics that has ever been fucking made, and rereading this is just it just makes me appreciate it more and realize like how it's just a reflection of what we're going through right now.
Yeah, basically. And the more we read this, the more I'm like, God, they just fucked this whole thing up with the movie, man. Like they really did this a disservice. And I know that they say, oh, we only had 90 minutes or whatever to put this. Okay, if you can't do it in 90 minutes, then you should say, hey, we can't fucking do this. Or, hey, we need 3 fucking movies. Or we need whatever. And hey, if you can't do it justice, then let some other asshole fuck it up. But if you're looking for a payday, I guess that's fucking what they do.
Fuck, it's hard to, yeah, maybe it's kind of shitty that the Wachowski brothers only had 2 hours to make this movie or whatever the actual length of the movie is. But fucking Watchmen with Zack Snyder the actual uncut movie got 4 hours.
Right. That's probably what this movie needed.
I think this movie needed, if we're going to talk about the V for Vendetta movie, I think it probably warranted at least 3 hours.
Yeah. Minimally.
Or you could do it like the Harry Potter route or the Hobbit.
Yeah.
Just chop it up.
Yeah. Well, honestly, the whole sequence that we're about to see of her in the prison, that probably could have been like 3/4 or 2/3 of one movie.
Yeah.
Just alone. So
I think the book is split into like a play, like a Hamlet play where it has 3 acts. So
right, so 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
Like there you go. It was already designed to be placed into a movie. But anyways, we start off with old Evie. Well, she looks old,
she looks
and
haggard
emaciated,
as fuck.
And she looks like she is literally living in a concentration camp, which is basically what she's doing. And they're reading out this confession, essentially.
Right.
And I'll just read it out verbatim because, it's just interesting.
None may atone for my sins; they are mine alone.
Fucking Severance. Yeah, this is she got severed in this fucking episode.
Yeah, if you want to listen to the Severance episodes on Game Rage, movies and television, you can go ahead and do so.
Indeed. My name is Evie Hammond. On the 5th of November, 1997, I was abducted by the terrorist known as Codename V, and then taken against my will to an unknown location. Once there, I was systematically brainwashed by means of drugs and torture, both physical and psychological. I was frequently subjected to sexual abuse during this period. Eventually, I was terrorized into helping him commit murders. These included the unlawful killings of Mr. Roger Dascom, Mr. Derek Almond, Dr. Delia Surridge, and the Reverend Anthony Lillyman of Bishop of Westminster. I also undertook the attempted murder of Mr. Peter Creedy. I, the undersigned, swear that the above statement is genuine and that it was not signed by means of intimidation. We'd like you to sign that. And that's what they want her to sign. And they say, we'd like you to sign this right where we put the little cross. And she says, no. Yeah, go ahead.
So, I'm not gonna lie, dude. I think this panel sticks out to me solely for the fact of what was mentioned previously in the monologue from Valerie in the previous issue about not giving an inch.
Yeah.
And you have this ever so small bubble quote from Evie Hammond that says no, and it's like in the fucking speck of the corner.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That's fucking poetry in visuals.
Yeah, it's visual poetry. It's how they portray that in comic form.
Yeah, so it seems inconsequential. Well, at least maybe, I don't know if people are, maybe I'm reading into it too much, but just based on what was said with Valerie and not giving anybody an inch, like, why'd they fucking put it in the corner, dude? Like, they don't know that 1 inch. They don't know that 1 inch
right.
of me.
Yep.
So I don't know. I thought that shit was cool.
Yeah, it was fucking cool as shit. And so then basically they say, all right, take her back to her cell. We're going to prepare the detail, and we're going to take her out behind the chemical sheds, shoot her fucking, and kill her dead. And this is chapter 12, The Verdict, and it shows her sitting here, and she's reading the letter from Valerie that she had found. And some guy comes up, and one of the guards says, all right, it's time. And then they're like, unless you want to, unless you want to change your mind, you want to fucking sign this, you'll probably, which this is what's hilarious to me. They put her through all this shit. They want her to sign a confession where she basically admits that she was raped and tortured into doing these things. Well, you'll probably only get 3 years. You're still going to give her time, right? Like that was you'll probably still get like 3 years. And then they'll even give you a job with the fingerman, like afterwards.
Yeah, that's crazy that law enforcement is basically criminals.
Yeah, basically. And she says, thanks, but I'd rather die behind the chemical sheds. And they go, all right, well, there's nothing left to threaten you with, is there? And he's like, I guess, you're free. And then she's like, what? And then she looks, the guy's gone, the door's open. She walks out, she looks around, she sees that fucking sign out there. She sees nothing. And she's like, the hell? She walks outside. And she goes out into the hallway, and it's a dummy. A fucking dummy with a guard uniform on. And she's like, what the fuck is happening? Opens the door, she goes out there to the guy sitting on the desk where she was being offered the plea deal, and she looks at him, spins the chair around, another dummy, and there's the fucking voice recorder right there. And she clicks the button, and the guy had a fucking microphone around his neck, or a speaker around his neck, and she pushes it, and this is blah blah blah. It starts repeating what she was hearing, and she goes, what the fuck? Goes outside. Keeps going, finds all these guard uniforms and shit, sees a little rat in a cage, which that's pretty funny because it's like, here you were the rat in the cage and now here you are free. And then she opens the final door and she walks out into
the shadow gallery. And there's V standing there. Welcome home, That
man.
is not the first thing I would want to hear.
I'd be like, just based on what she did, you son of a bitch. Why did you do this? And she's like, you motherfucker, you tortured me? And she says, why? And he's like, because I love you and I want to set you free. And then this is chapter 13, Values. Man, God, just so great, man. Just the way that obviously every chapter starts with a V, but then the word actually does apply
to the
chapter,
specific chapter, yeah.
And she says, set me free. Like, don't you know what you did to me? You drove me insane, basically. And he's like, listen, that's what it takes, bitch. Like, this is what we got to do.
Yeah, you're like, you were in a goddamn prison. You didn't even realize it.
The best part is when he said, like, obviously she's like, I fucking hate you. You're an asshole. And he says, or she says all this shit about like, oh, you tortured me. Like, you wanted to set me free, so you put me in prison. And he's like, this is one of the best lines in this whole fucking thing. Or this is one of the best little sequences when he says, you were already in a prison. You've been in a prison all your life. And then she tells him, oh, I was unhappy until you threw me out, blah, 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 blah. And then he says, happiness is a prison, Evie. Happiness is the most insidious prison of all. And it's that fucking whole thing of like the Matrix fucking sucking you in. And it's like, yeah, I know this steak is fake. It's just lines of code. But God, I love ignorance is bliss, right?
Or complacency that it's like you have to accept this reality because that's your programming or whatever. Or that you don't have an iron will or integrity to say this isn't fucking right. And you just accept more things and more bad shit happens. And you're just like, well, fuck it. This is what makes me happy. This is the reality that I have to accept. Oh, well, this is what it is. And then V's like, hold up there, partner. There's a different way. There's another.
No, there is another. So then he goes on to say about how he goes into detail about her lover, which was that dude that got killed. Talks about, Gordon, how he got killed and stuff. And she's like, yo, how the fuck did you know that? Like, how did you know about that shit? And he's like, it's not an uncommon story. You know, most convicts meet with miserable ends. And he talks about her mother, your father, your lover, one by one, taken out behind the chemical sheds.
Yeah, that part where he says, is that the happiness worth more than freedom? Yeah. Like, that's like security. That's like a whole country accepting security and sacrificing their own freedom because it's like, well, at least we're fucking safe and we can do what we want. And V's like, it's not the way, brother.
Yeah, it's like that old Benjamin Franklin line about those who trade security, or those who trade liberty for security deserve neither. And that's basically what he's fucking saying here. And this right here, this line that's right here is the best line in the whole series so far, where he says, "I didn't put you in a prison, Evie. I just showed you the bars." And just basically proved to you that here we are. This is the prison. I didn't put you here. So this is what it is. Man, that's fucking great. So then he goes on to talk about how she was born in a prison. You've been in prison so long, you didn't even believe that there was anything outside of this. And she's telling him to shut up. You're crazy. I don't want to hear this. And he keeps going on to say how you're afraid. And you're afraid because you can feel this freedom coming at you. And freedom is terrifying. Because freedom offers this terrifying lack of boundary to most people, right?
There's uncertainty, like, because there's nothing guaranteed.
There is guarantee in having no freedom because you know exactly what you're going to get every single day, right?
Yeah.
So he's telling her, like, not to back away, to embrace it, like, embrace his freedom. And then she starts basically having, like, a fucking panic attack, I guess, or she says it's asthma, and he's like, yes, my child, good. Good. The panic sets in.
It is weird, twisted way.
Yeah, he's like, you're almost there. Go closer. Feel the shape of it. Your mother died. They took your father away. There's a little girl, Evie, and she's screaming. And then she starts screaming like, "Oh, make it stop! Mommy, Daddy, please make it stop! Oh, fuck, you're gonna make me come!" And then he says, "You were in a cell, Evie. They offered you a choice between the death of your principles and the death of your body. You said you'd rather die. You faced the fear of your own death and you were calm and still. Try to feel now what you felt then." And she's like, I felt like an angel. And she's like, "What's happening to me?" "The door of the cage is open, Evie. All that you feel is the wind from outside. Don't be afraid. Try to stand, try to walk, try to lift."
All right. Do you think there's biblical context? Because that was what I think Abraham, I don't remember the Bible line for line. Maybe it was Moses. Fuck, I don't even remember who it was. But the line of an angel, "Don't be afraid." Like the fact that they mentioned angel and "don't be afraid" in the same page. I don't know if that's coincidental.
Yeah, I don't think that's coincidental. I think that's purposeful. Because there is, again, he's fighting against everything, right? So that is it's the religious anarchy, or not religious, the religious tyranny state or whatever, right? Ethno state. So he says, "Let's go up to the roof." And she's like, "I don't want to be blindfolded." He's like, "Nah." He's like, "No more blindfolds. They're all gone." He's like, "Do you feel it?" And she's like, "What? Everything's so different." He's like, "I know. 5 years ago, I too came through a night like this, naked under a roaring sky. This night is yours." And she's fucking butt-ass naked, fucking standing in the fucking rain.
Yeah. And oddly enough, her pose is like triumphant, but it's also in the shape of a fucking V.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
Which is very weird. And he says, seize it, encircle it within your arms, bury it in your heart up to the hilt, become transfixed, become transfigured forever. And then we get back into, I guess, what's the modern time right now, or the current part of the storyline.
Yeah.
And it's September 3rd.
It's 6 months after the fact.
Yeah. But this is like currently what's happening now. Yeah. And so it's September 3rd, 1998 at the Nose, and it's fuck are these guys' names again?
I forgot. I don't remember
Finch.
that asshole's name, the brown-haired fellow, but the bald guy is Mr. Finch.
Mr. Finch, yeah.
And they're talking about how I was like, "Well, it's over. Like we haven't heard from this son of a bitch in 6 months. So what's going on?" They're like, "Well, I mean, everything's like, I mean, we didn't solve the case, but there's nothing else to fucking do." So they're kind of like lounging around, not doing much, but
like, well, I guess we're just gonna fiddle fuck around and read books, I guess, because there's nothing left to do. So he says, "All right, well, that's fine. See you later, good buddy." And then we get to chapter 14, vignettes, and it's the Shadow Gallery, and then V is singing a song, Then he's sitting at a piano singing a song. Then he briskly frisks the torn remains for a fingerprint or crimson stains and endeavors to ignore the chains that he walks in to his knees. And then Evie comes in, she says V, and then she basically makes out with him on his mask. And she thanks him for what he did. And he said, you don't gotta thank me. Like, you did it yourself. I just provided the backdrop. The drama was all your own. And she says, that was a good backdrop. I really believed I was in prison. And she says, it's hard for me to accept that this is all just me and you, no guards, no interrogators, no Valerie. And she's saying about how she believed in Valerie and this whole thing.
Hold on a minute, player.
And he's like, yeah, well, actually, just by the way, I didn't write that letter. Well, please come with me and I'll show you the way. And he shows her the whole gallery that he has of Valerie, the movie star. And he goes on to talk about how she did write that letter. And I gave it to you as it was given to me. And the words you wept over were those that transformed me 5 years ago. And she says, V, she's beautiful. Who was she? And he says, she was the woman in room 4. And
dude,
that was the lady who was next to him.
What a payoff for like a subplot.
Yeah.
Fucking amazing, dude.
That is hella fucking amazing. Like, goddamn. So she was one of the ones that they were testing and doing fucking tests on and shit.
One of the last ones, too.
Yep, because it was him and her, because he was 5. He was the last one, right?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was. And then we knocked. They take us to the Kitty Cat Keller, which is that like strip club or burlesque club or whatever.
Yep.
And door number 4, knocking on it, and they're asking for Rosie. And she says, "Come on, we're on." He goes, "Yeah, all right." And she was, I don't know, just throwing up or whatever. And he's like, "Come on, let's go. The Martinettes are on in 2 minutes." And she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I just get so nervous before I go on. I was sick." And he says, "Oh, well, we can't have you going on if you're poorly, can we? They could do it with 5. You stay here in the dressing room and I'll keep you company." And like he puts his fucking hand on her shoulder. It's like super creepy. And so then we go back to the shadow gallery, and he shows her the like, what is it? Those indoor weed farms that they used to have, where like
hydroponics.
Yeah, it's like hydroponics and like the lamps, like they give you the sunlight, the UV light, and he's got those, but it's roses. Like he has to illegally grow roses essentially.
It's a fucking Violet Carson's.
Yeah. And so she was talking about roses and stuff, and she says, "Oh, in the letter that Valerie wrote, she was hoping there'd be roses." He's like, "Oh yeah, I grew them for her, but I give them to some others upon occasion." And he says, "Evie, you told me once that you wouldn't kill, not even for me. And when I plucked you from the streets, you were about to kill a guy. One Alistair Harper. He killed your lover. You wanted revenge. There is a rose here for him. You only have to pluck it and hand it to me. Nothing else." And she goes and she like is looking at it, and he says, "To pick a flower is not a large thing. It is easy as it is irrevocable. Understanding what is being offered here, and do as you will." And she says, she grabs the little rose and she looks at it, and then it shows his face, and then she lets it go, and she says, "No, let it grow." And then we go to the head, and we see the leader,
Adam Susan.
and on the screen it just says, "I love you" all over the screen. He's like, what the fuck? And then the other dickheads that are out there come out and say, "Leader, you called out. Are you all right?" And he's like, "I didn't say anything." And then it shows the screens and they're blank. There's nothing. He's like, "I didn't say anything. I just coughed. Go back to your work, slaves. England prevails."
I love that.
Yeah.
He has to end every conversation with "England prevails."
Yeah, it's fucking hilarious. And then we hear this. It's like this comment. I don't know who's talking. If it's fucking
V, it's fucking his.
And he says, "And he hungers in his secret dreams for the harsh embrace of cruel machines. But his lover is not what she seems, and she will not leave a note." And then it goes back to the shadow gallery, and she says, "What are you going to do next?" And he's like, "Next, the finale, I think. I think the finale is next."
And it's Rosie's getting raped.
Rosie's getting, fucking non-consensual sex is happening. And so then it goes back to Evie, and she says, "Will I be needed?" And then it shows Mr. Finch sitting on his bed, and he says, "Oh, yes, you'll be needed, but not until the very end. That will be sooner than you think, though. You must prepare yourself." And it goes back to Evie. She says, "What for?" And he says, "You'll know when it comes." And she says, "And you?" And he says, "Yeah, me? Oh, I'm going to give the world what Valerie wanted it to have. Roses. A great abundance of roses."
All right.
Which
Oh, good.
Oh, which to me, I feel like is meaning he's gonna commit something. He's gonna kill everybody. Like he's gonna kill a bunch of people.
Yeah. Also, it makes me, because this wasn't made clear in the movie, but I'm guessing V's like techno savvy.
Yeah.
Because he manipulated the fate machine.
Right.
So I don't know what that is, but I don't know if he made that himself. He's like, here, I'm gonna help the government create something, and then I'm gonna have a backdoor entry to it, so I can fuck with Adam Susan.
Yeah.
And make him realize he's possibly gay for
computers. And then he pulls off the mask. It was me all along.
It was me all along.
It was me, Austin.
Oh my God, V is actually fucking Mr. McMahon.
Oh no, dude, that would be fucking hilarious. What an ultimate swerve that would be, is he pulls off the mask and it's Vince McMahon.
NWA, ECW,
Yeah.
it was all me.
It was all me. I am wrestling. I own AEW. I own everything. I started it all.
Yeah.
Man.
So then we just get the last bits of the what seems to be quite an extended version of the Vicious Cabaret song.
Yeah.
Because it was introduced, I think, in the earlier issues, but it's turning out even longer as the story unfolds.
Yeah.
So.
And I'll just read it because it's cool. But the backdrops peel and the sets give way and the cast get eaten by the play. There's a murderer at the matinee. There are dead men in the aisles. And the patrons and actors, too, are uncertain if the show is through. And with sidelong looks await their cue. But the frozen mask just smiles. Man, that was good.
Yeah. Not heavy on the violence or anything, but just lets all the characters have their moment to decompress about what's happened in the last 6 months. V is now, or rather Evie is now manipulated into being, I guess, like the progeny of fucking V in some
Yeah,
way.
basically.
She's been manipulated. It's interesting. We'll see how it fucking plays out.
Indeed it is. So, man, so good. This is such a great, this is probably, like you said, this is the best comic I've ever read. This is fucking by far. Anyways, stay tuned for the next episode. And also go check out our other review and discussions on the Darth Vader comic, as well as Immortal Hulk and Daredevil. I was going to say D for Daredevil.
D for Daredevil.
But anyways, if you want to check out all of our other shit, you can do that on YouTube. And you can go to Game Rage Magazine on YouTube. Like, comment, and subscribe for all the latest updates on all the millions of podcasts that we actually have. Because there's probably like 3-4 million.
Poggers.
Also, if you want to follow us on social media, you can go to Instagram and TikTok at Game Rage Magazine, Twitter/X at Game Rage Mag. Follow Adam at All Gas No Trash Official and go check out the All Gas No Trash podcast. Follow our good buddy Frank at anime_syndicate_podcast and go listen to the Anime Syndicate podcast. All right, that does it for us. We'll catch you guys on the next one.
That was Panel to Panel, the Game Rage Magazine comic book podcast. Thanks for listening. If you want to know more and follow along, go to Instagram and TikTok. Follow at Game Rage Magazine. If you want to follow on Twitter/X at Game Rage Mag. Tune in next time.